Welcome to another episode of Community Chat. My name is Kevin Tocci and I will be your host for this conversation. This is one of many that we have done this political season for the town of Abington to help better inform the folks about the candidates who are going to be on the ballot and also give the candidates an opportunity to introduce themselves to the public, to the voters here in the great town of Abington. Again, don't forget that Abington's town election is coming up on April 30th. Joining me today is somebody who's a candidate for school committee. We have Nicole Emery. Nicole.
Hi.
Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you, Kevin.
Right out of the box, the very first question. For folks who may or may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Rockland. I graduated from Rockland High School. I've lived in Abington for about 8 years. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in psychology, the other in nursing, both from UConn Stores. I'm a mother of 4 small children. My oldest is 7.5. Yes, 7.5, sorry. She goes to Beaverbrook. She's in 1st grade. My next is 5 years old. He's in pre-K, but will be in kindergarten in the fall. I have a 3.5-year-old who's in a specialized program and hopefully will be at Abington Public Pre-K and Special Ed in the fall. And then I have an 8-month-old. And I'm an oncology nurse by, that's what I do for a job, and I work nights, so I think that's a special kind of breed. And I'm running for school committee and excited.
What made you decide to run for school committee?
So like most probably committee members that have run in the past, I think a lot of people just want to be more involved. I've been advocating in various ways for not just my kids, all kids for the last 7 years, particularly the last 3 years for my son who has special needs. He's autistic. I've taken a few advocacy courses and just really like being involved. I also felt the committee could use someone with a different background, bring something else to the table, maybe diversify the opinions and just the board. I think it could use a little bit of change, so I decided to run.
What kind of experience and knowledge do you think you would bring to the committee if you are elected?
So if elected, I think some experiences I have, like I said, I have a son with autism, so I understand the need for treating students as individuals and that education should be really based on students as individuals. I think that it's really important to recognize while we're making, when we're making policies and programs, that we remember that not all kids are cookie cutter. Also, my family is a bilingual home. My Spanish isn't great. My kids, much better than me. My husband's primary language is Spanish. All of my nieces and nephews all enter their school systems as ESL students. So I kind of have just a little bit of a different background and hope I can offer my experiences. I'm also a nurse, but I don't know what I'd really take from that, but I'm sure handling different situations that I handle at work, I could probably bring in. I'm a team player, so.
What do you feel the public's main concerns regarding the town's school system?
I know right now, people that I've spoke to, the last couple of years have been tough. I think a lot of parents had either pulled their kids, put them into private, or homeschooled for various reasons. Both things we couldn't control and things we could control. I think really focusing on making sure that our kids have really rigorous and challenging curriculums and trying to keep our kids here and focusing on just improving that aspect of things and making sure that we're listening to the parents and kind of bringing back parental involvement in education is important.
What challenges do you see the school district facing in the near future? And how do you intend on addressing those needs and challenges if you're called upon?
So I think even though we had, there were a lot of kids that were probably pulled more kids are going to be re-entering and coming back. I think kind of an issue that's always been an underlying issue will be classroom sizes, and I think that will continue to be an issue. So just working within the budget and making sure that we're keeping classroom sizes the way they should be, that the teachers have everything that they need to teach to the class size that they have, all the help and resources that they have. I think that will be really important. I also think that we're going to probably continue to see an increase in our ESL students, which I think is great, but I think we need to really make sure, again, that sometimes that creates challenges for the teachers if they have multiple students in a class that speak a second language. I know from 2 teachers I've spoke to that have multiple ESL students and various language in their class, it can be a challenge. So just making sure that we are identifying that and maybe working on programs and policies that ensure that not only the kids are getting what they need from their education, but the teachers have everything they need to do that as well. And would you ask for 3?
Just the challenges, needs and challenges.
Okay. Those are like the main 2 things I can think of for now.
Let's talk funding.
Okay.
What's your understanding of the school's budget, how it's funded, and what needs to be done to consistently provide for the district's educational needs?
So the budget's definitely the most complex thing, I think, that goes into school committee. I'd be lying if I said I completely understood every in and out. I've asked other school committee members that have been committee members previous years and from other towns, and I think even they kind of find it very confusing. So I know a lot goes into it. I know that a lot of hard decisions are made on where to take our tax money, where to put it. Every year there's challenges that come up. Sometimes you have to cut some things, broaden other aspects of it. So my understanding is that it's a lot of work. It's tough decisions, but I hope that if elected, I will kind of pick up on that. We'll be able to learn a lot more and kind of learn as I go. Was there a second part of that question? Okay.
So just again, I'll ask just to pose the question to you. Your understanding of the budget, how it's funded, and what more needs to be done to consistently be able to provide for the district's educational needs.
Right now, I'm not sure what more needs to be done or what more could be done. I think every year it's a challenge, right? We might have to time, if there's something that comes up. I know in previous years there was a new school. You might have to look at saving money in other ways. So where can we save on fees? Where can we save over here to fund what we have over here? So just constantly looking at where can we be saving money so that we can apply the money we save where it's needed.
What do you see are the school district's capital needs? We're talking like buildings or maybe a turf field, things like that.
So obviously some of our schools are a little bit older. I know from attending some of the school committee meetings, there's been some issues within the building, I believe with air conditioning and things like that. Structurally, I'd have to probably ask some more questions of our vice superintendent or assistant superintendent. But I think probably as years go on, some of those older schools are going to have more issues that come up, and just finding out where's the balance of when would, what can we do to make those better? Will we have to completely do something totally new? That sort of thing.
So we are entering a phase where hopefully we are coming out of COVID. What do you feel needs to be done to take care of our students to help them recover through this traumatic experience over the past 2.5 years?
A lot. I think I'm not completely convinced that won't ever happen again. So before I answer your question directly, I do think moving forward, I hope that we've kind of learned from the last 2 years, and moving forward that we've kind of learned that our kids really well. I know a lot of kids did do well, and kids can adapt. We know that they suffered it in a lot of ways. So I hope that we, learn and do better moving forward. And I'm sorry, what was the exact question? Sorry.
So it's just what do we need to do to help them to recover? There are those who are able to adapt, but there are those who are
There are
still
a lot
recovering.
that are still recovering. Particularly, I've talked to a lot of parents of kids on IEPs. I know a lot of kids suffered. I think a lot of IEP students suffered tremendously. They didn't get all the services in the way that they are used to getting. And some of them just didn't get the services they needed. And a lot of parents weren't able to do all that was expected of them when it came to the remote learning and things like that. So moving forward, I think we really need to jump right into focusing back on what's important with the kids, the core curriculums, making sure that we are dedicating all the time we can to getting our kids back on track with that, and a little bit less on some of these other things that we are now implementing in the schools that might take away from the learning time. I know a lot of those decisions and the kind of the framework of what we do in our schools comes from DESE, but I still think in our own district we can kind of look at what's good for our kids and make changes and just really, encourage our teachers to let us know what they need so that they can be helping the students as well get back to where they should be.
What educational programming do you feel the school district should either seek or add in the future?
Can you be more specific by what you mean? Sorry.
It could be a language. It could be something that will help in the arts. Anything like that. Anything that's going to help them when it comes to critical thinking. Anything that maybe that the district doesn't have at this moment.
I'm not entirely sure. I'd probably have to, again, ask teachers, and that specific question, I'd hate to just guess at what we need as far as newer programs, but I know it's always a good thing. I personally think it's always a good thing to invest in our arts and sciences for kids. I think we can always broaden there. I think that's always something that will always benefit kids and help foster their critical thinking. But to be more specific, I'd probably want to kind of poll the teachers and things like that.
Okay. We're going to go on the other side of the spectrum. I asked you about what would you like to see added. They're usually, from time to time, and it's cyclical, where you'll see tough budget cycles. As somebody, if you are elected, what programs would you want to see held harmless, or that you would want to most protect from being cut if there is a tough budget cycle?
Although I was never like a music and art kid myself, I do think that a lot of parents always worry that that's going to be the first thing to go, and I really believe that is really important for a lot of kids. Not everybody is going to gravitate towards some of the more traditional things, so I would really like to always protect those types of programs, because I know it's kind of always kind of a worry for parents of those kids that really do great and grow and learn in different ways, and that kind of helps them be better students. So I really think protecting some of the things that always seem like it would be discussed, I know in other towns, reducing arts, music, things like that.
So we're at that point of our conversation. It's slowly starting to wind down. This is kind of an open question. It allows you to be able to kind of pick and choose. Is there a question I haven't asked, or an issue that we haven't touched upon, but you'd want to take a moment to mention or talk to?
I think it's often asked, are you joining because you want to come in and change things, and you want to, what do you want to come in and just change? And I think it's important to know I'm not looking to come in and change a lot of things. I actually love our schools. I think that our teachers do great. I think we have an amazing superintendent. I think we have really great schools. I'm very proud to have my kids go here. My worry is just with each year, we know that DESE kind of creates new programs and new initiatives that then come down and each district has to implement. So my concern is just as these things come down from DESE, how can we best implement them? What's best for our district? What types of decisions will we have to make regarding those big changes? I do think there'll be some pretty big changes in the next few years. So my concern is more about some of the things I think will be happening in our schools. But I just want to reiterate that I think our schools are great. I actually think we have our current school committee does a great job at making tough decisions. I do think there could be a little bit more diversity in the opinions and backgrounds, but other than that, I'm very proud to have my kids here.
Final question. How can residents and voters find out more about you?
So I have a Facebook page. They can go there. While I'm not the most active person on Facebook, I do try to. I've had several messages via Facebook, several emails. My email address is on the Facebook page, and it is Nicole Emery for Abington School Committee. So either of those, and the email address is electnicoleemeryasc@protonmail.com. So, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with if somebody, it might be a little difficult. I have 4 small kids during the day, but I could probably make it happen. If it's better, if someone wanted to meet in person, I'm happy to meet at the library or something. If somebody has something that would be a better conversation in person, I'm happy to do that as well.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us for the conversation today.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for tuning into these conversations. We hope that they have been able to help you get an understanding of each candidate as they are seeking office, as they are on the ballot come the election on Saturday, April 30th. Now, if you're not too sure as to eligibility to vote or where to vote or how to vote, always stop by the town hall and speak to the town clerk for more information. Until our next conversation, thank you for joining us and have a great day.